This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Season 10 of Ozicar Skip Barber Series rolls on to our first endurance round of the season here at Road America. A lot of time, full throttle, a lot of really long straights, and of course, a bridge made out of cheese. All of that before us for the endurance race coming up here on Simspeed TV. We're going to be covering all of it, and Jason Fewens joins me, David Haynes, on this call. Jason, things are looking very interesting in the championship, and what a great track to be at to have some racing.
Yeah, it's a fantastic track here tonight at Road America, the track that keeps on giving. So it's really suited for these vehicles, lots of draft opportunity, lots of long flying corners which suit these little short wheelbase rear drive vehicles, and obviously we should have some great racing tonight over the endurance session.
That's the plan. Let's get into it. Here's the championship standings, equal at the front between the teammates Alex John and Alex McKellar, and both of them just 4 points ahead of defending champ James Chastanoff. Braden Martin somehow has been finishing races this season. He's in fourth in the championship, not far behind as well, just 10 points from the championship lead. And then Ben Snell, Harrison Mitchell, Russell Clark, Matthew Mites, Sean Doyle and Brody Cook tied for 9th place there. Sure, we've only had 2 rounds, but it is mighty, mighty close between some very familiar Aussie car names up the front. And hopefully this should be familiar to you as well. This is Road America. A lot of full throttle down the pit straight. Somehow there's a turn 2 between what you would call turns 1 and turn 2 there, and then a long run down the hill from turn 3 to somehow you end up at turn 5. But what an overtaking opportunity that is. High speed downhill into a tight left-hander. Always a great place to watch some overtaking happen. Around the rest of the lap, they then go uphill towards turn 6 underneath what I think sometimes called the Corvette bridge, then hurry down, taking it turn 8, and carousel should be interesting for these cars, near enough to flat out. Same so for the kink, and then slipstreaming down towards Canada corner. 3 really long straights into some hard braking zones here.
Yeah, it'll be very, very critical that the guys up the front get a good qualifying session, and it looks like those that needed to do so have done so tonight. But the real battle, I think, will be mid-pack as we'll run through the starting grid now. So on the front row tonight, Alex McKellar leads us off on pole position with a 2-minute 33.966. Sitting beside him, we'll find the second place setter, Ben Snell. Alex John and Braden Martin find themselves off row number 2, side by side, followed by Russell Clark and Daniel Stubbs, rounding out row number 3.
Rest of our grid, here we go. Harrison Mitchell, James Chastanoff, Sean Doyle, real championship contenders there, with Nathan Verney, Matthew Mites, Liam Banks, and there's a big grid once again for Ozicar Skip Barber Series because it rolls on with Jeremy Bush, Peter Wilkinson, Matthew Harriott, Dennis Hancock, Farron Hancock's, I swear they keep pulling this joke on us, Brody Cook, and then continuing down towards the back of the grid, Sean McKenzie, John Snell, Simon Clayson, Ash Knowles, David Summers, Simon Jobner, Philip Batzoulis, Jamie Willits, Leon Williams, Craig Kermond, Ira Felberg, Darren Lisieux, Vic Bent-Veltzen, Aaron Waugh, and Sean Carey without a qualifying time. That's 30 plus cars for an endurance race here at Road America. Look at them all lined up for their standing start on the pit straight. It's a little bit uphill for the drivers who qualified further back, so that might spread the field a little bit as they come towards turn 1, but by the time they round turn 3, head underneath the cheese bridge towards turn 5, I think they are going to be locked in the slipstream battle that these Skip Barbers are known for. All lined up, engines revving, Barney on his cantilevered tower waves the green flag. The lights go green, and we are racing for 19 laps, 50 minutes at Road America and Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Your pole sitter has made a pretty good getaway there. Alex McKellar with Ben Snell right in his slipstream. Pretty quick but cold tyres through turn 1.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who decides to go single file and who decides to push their luck going side by side on these cold tyres on the opening lap. You can see a little bit of dirt being kicked up on the exit of turn number 1 here as we see a train of green cars go diving down the hill. A little bit of contact there in the background, but all the action is in the mid-pack at the moment. Big dive there under brakes. Someone's feeling very confident in their abilities there, but looks like everybody's made it through, and we make our run nice and clean down there through this infield section down the big long straight.
One of the Milo cars there, chopping and changing lanes, super speedway style, but Alex McKellar still leads the race as they come into this difficult downhill braking zone. It's still cold for everyone. And, oh, you're going to see a huge slide out of one of the locked-on cars there. I think that's actually Chastity. Top the hill, underneath the bridge. We are going to go through what ought to be a pretty flat-out kick, but they're trying to block each other out. It is James Chastanoff who you're right on board with. Harrison Mitchell, Nathan Verney, and even some teammates lining up behind him. The defending champ trying desperately to hold on to 8th in the early goings.
Yeah, almost some nose-to-rear contact there as they hit into the braking zone, and as they are under the Speedville bridge and around through the carousel for the first time. We're watching them go side by side as they try and fight for position, work out who's got the best drive and the best run through this section here before the short kick through the big downhill straight on the back part of the circuit. They're still running side by side. I reckon that might be Dennis Hancock there. But he decides to fall back in behind as the leaders get a little bit sideways out on the grass.
I swear that might have been back towards Chastity as well, who got onto the grass at the kink. Cold tyres still for everyone as they try to go through there as close to flat out as they can. It's going to warm up pretty quick. It is a beautiful Wisconsin day. 23 in the air, 46 on the track. This is the leaders, as you saw Harrison Mitchell maybe going backwards. Hello. Ben Snell kicking it sideways. Everyone else doing the same, and some of the drivers in the background there even caught the grass on the exit. So easy to do, and that's ended many a race before. But to complete the first lap, onto the pit straight they go. Slipstream in full effect. Braden Martin is going for the lead of the race side by side with Ben Snell, and the trio behind of John, McKellar, and Clark is also going to be a bit of a drag race. Martin is into the lead.
Yeah, good draft there from Martin, and the ponies absolutely working flat out as they go across the finish line for the first time to complete lap number 1. But Braden's no stranger to the front of the field. He'll know what he has to do. It's a long endurance race here tonight, so they'll be playing the smart long game tonight, and if anyone tries to dive in under brakes, I'm sure they'll be thinking about the big picture.
Almost 3 wide in this battle behind them. You've got Chastanoff now side by side with Sean Doyle. Daniel Stubbs will ride on board with watchers on. He backed out of the 3 wide into turn 3. Now he's got a little bit of a run, but he doesn't want to slot the gap in the middle in towards turn 5. Very sensible this early in a race like this. Follow some quick guys like Sean Doyle. Try to swap lanes into where Chastity's going. The gap closes up there, and immediately he's got Matthew Mites and Nathan Verney right behind him. That might be one of the packs to watch continuing on in this race. So is this one. 11th on back. They are all over the place, being led by Brody Cook. Harrison Mitchell picking up a little bit of the dirt in 5.
Yeah, we're only a lap and a half into this race, and there's already little packs forming, so the top 5 have made a bit of a break. So the top 5 separated by a mere second, then there's a short gap from 6th through to about 7th, separated by less than a second as well. So plenty happening and plenty to watch all around the track here tonight as everyone tries to sort themselves out on this opening couple of laps.
Sure is, and they'll be finding a lot more confidence, a lot more tyre pressure as they keep going on. No compulsory tyre change in this race in the Enduro format. So the set they've got on right now is going to come up to tempered pressure, and they're probably going to leave it on all the way to the end of the race. But Braden Martin is having it on with Ben Snell right up front. Snell is still going to hold on. And of course, there is going to be some pit stops in this race still, though. And unfortunately, some of them are going to come early. The kink has bitten, and it's bitten hard. Milo Carr and someone else is in there as well. They're trying to get it going so they can drive back to the pit lane without needing to spend the many minutes on the tow truck. Brody Cook in 11th, trying to break away, real sideways and way too sideways. Cook onto the concrete barrier. Someone else joins in there. I'm going to guess... it Meltson.
It was almost a sympathy accident, wasn't he? He came around the corner and there was already one sitting there, and Vic just did a little pirouette, found himself nose first into the concrete there, and found himself in a world of hurt. So they'll be able to limp themselves back to the pits, hopefully get some repairs and get themselves back out on track without losing too much time.
Top 5 racing away a little bit, but there's still some good speed from cars behind the Chastanoff and Doyle, who, if they could pit stop to catch this pack, is there going to be a little bit of working together early from these guys. Still 2 pit stops from home, early days in this race. Top 5 are clear of the rest of the field and that crucial slipstream. Ben Snell back into the lead, back onto the racing line to negotiate turn 5. Nick Martin gave him the room, gave him the space, and knows the game they're playing right now. This kind of slipstreaming stuff, you always got to throw it back to Tour de France or something where, you know, you're riding in the peloton and it's only that last couple of kilometers where you got to, you know, look over your shoulder and sprint. You know, you got to think long term early on.
We see another car off there. David Summers sitting in the sand having a heck of a time out there by himself, just waiting to a clear bit of traffic so he can make his way back on the circuit. We're watching the leaders now make their way through the carousel. We're on lap number 3 as we have a quick look into the pits, and there's a little bit of carnage happening, or has happened, and that's the after effect. We watch the VRS replay now, and that's the David Summers incident. Doesn't look like a heck of a lot of damage there on the front of that vehicle, but he's obviously having a little bit of trouble keeping it going in the straight line.
I think the front right's having a problem there after that contact. A couple of cars going for the apex at turn 5 caused some damage. It's also frustrating this early in the race for the reasons we were just talking about. Here is Doyle and Chastity. There is Bernie in the background. Playing in the sand. He will get it going. Not sure quite how he managed that one, actually. I reckon he probably had some grass on the entry trying to open up the entry of the corner, and that might have spun him around out there. Your lead pack, what kind of lap time are they going to put down, and what kind of speed have Doyle and Chastanoff behind got as they try to catch the breakaway? 2:34 3s and 4s and 6s from everyone in this lead pack, and a 2:35 4 from Chastanoff. So not catching the leaders at the current pace Chastity and Doyle are doing.
Yeah, current championship leader at the front at the moment, along with his teammate equal first, sitting in 4th. So they're looking quite comfortable at the moment. But last season's champion-elect going the wrong way. He's actually dropping away from these guys. So Doyle and Chastanoff really have to learn how to work together and be patient and try and claw themselves back up into the lead group. Or either they'll have to rely on a pit stop strategy to try and get themselves back into this.
Yeah, we've seen some drivers get a little bit clever with trying to save some fuel, and Chastity's been one of them. He's done that before. And you were just talking about equal leaders in the championship for Alex McKellar and Alex John. That's really good for them, because you remember at the end of last season, one of their goals was not just, you know, win this championship again, but win that team's championship. And when you've got your 2 drivers equal first in the championship, that is also the team's championship, looking really good for Top Split TV at the moment. And we know, as a championship we don't talk quite as much about, but it means a lot to those guys.
Yeah, we've definitely heard him mention him in the post-race interviews that that's something that they're very focused on between the 2 of them. So at the moment, sitting 1 and 2, you couldn't ask for a healthier result for the Top Split guys. As we watch one of them there, that's Alex McKellar.
Alex John dug up quite a bit of the dirt on the exit of the carousel, spat it all up in the face of Russell Clark, and it did create this little bit of a gap here that you know is just going to get sucked right back in the slipstream down towards Canada Corner.
A little bit of dirt sitting on the track in the middle of the apex of the corner there, so something the drivers have to be very aware of, because that'll could catch a few out as the race unfolds. But with a little bit of traffic, that might clean itself up.
I think the more cars run through that corner, the more dirt we're going to end up with there. A little bit of side-by-side Bill Mitchell bend here for Mites and Stubbs. I'm sure Stubbs is really going to get through there. Another corner, you got to be careful digging up the dirt on the entries, the final corner here. You, of course, want to maximize the entry, maximize the exit to carry all the speed, full throttle, up the hill, and then down towards turn 1, where Ben Snell and McKellar are running side by side. Did you notice from the onboard with John earlier how early some of these guys, like Snell and McKellar and Martin, are rolling out into the corners? I think they are thinking about saving some fuel, particularly the drivers' third, fourth, and fifth wheel in this pack.
Yeah, well, they're in the prime position to be having that train of thought, but they'll be quite comfortable sitting quite deep in the pack there and using as much of the draft as they can for the two guys in front to pull them along. This looks like the position that Braden Martin's sitting in at the moment, currently sitting in third. He was our leader there in lap number 2, but he's dropped back a couple of positions, and he just might be playing the smart fuel game at the moment.
In a bit of pile-up, and Matthew Harriet's come out the worst, but I saw 3 or 4 cars get into each other. I saw a couple out on the grass, and this looks like walking wounded for Peter Wilkinson as well. The nose cone is gone, and he doesn't appear to be accelerating particularly down the straight. Let's see what happened.
Not sure if that was an over-under that went wrong or whether it was a netcode incident, because we actually saw Peter inside the orange car there before the carnage happened, and everyone went hard left. But nonetheless, damage to a couple of vehicles there, so their game plan is going to change. Their strategy is going to play effect as things unfold. But if we work backwards from our end race, we've got 19 laps and get 7 laps out of the tank. We work backwards, 19 takes 7 is 12, take another 7 is 5. So we just might see a couple of cars dive into pit lane and try and get out of traffic.
Yep, good detective work on that one. Would suggest that you can hit at the end of this lap and still stay on strategy to get to the end. Keller ran a little bit wide there, but Snell couldn't pass him, and that slows them up a little bit. But the tail of this pack is still 4 seconds clear of Chastanov and Doyle. Don't suspect, with all the clear track they've got, that many of these drivers are going to want to pit. It is a monstrously huge lap here compared to, for example, Lime Rock Park, where we started the season. Traffic isn't being a particularly big issue because you've got to be 2 minutes 40 off the leader before you start getting lapped again. That's good for the leaders in this Enduro format.
This little group we look at now, if it was me, I think I'd be pitting, because the guys out the front don't seem to be tripping over each other, but the mid-pack, there seems to be a lot of side-by-side action, and I'd be doing my best to try and get out of it. But being a track that's very reliant on slipstream, that'll play a large part on what these drivers are deciding to do.
3 wide, why not? And who's going to be the winner in towards turn 1? Probably someone who owns a tow truck. No, they managed to cleanly negotiate turn 1. But I think, yeah, it is Ashley Knowles and Craig Kerman and Simon Dobner, who were 3 wide there for a hot minute. Kerman and Dobner got a new livery for this round?
Yeah, it does look like it's been fine-tweaked somewhat.
I think there's more orange on it than there used to be.
Which is good, because it makes them stand out in a sea of blue, pink and green.
Something my eyes caught in that little battle right up in front of them here as well. Pretty sure you've got Dennis Hancock and then side by side with Liam Banks and Simon Clayson. Nathan Verney trying to recover a little bit after problem he had earlier. He's right in the middle of this pack.
As we saw in the background, John Snell getting all sorts of sideways, big puff of smoke, and another couple of cars getting caught up in that as well. But it looks like everybody's back facing the right way and still circulating around the track at the moment.
And his teammate, Jeremy Bush, in behind as well. Is it his teammate? But they've also got Sean McKenzie and Farron Hancock's in this pack, so that's probably the most numerous pack that we've still got after some incidents and some breakaways, and no one taking a scheduled pit stop just yet. You suggested that someone might try it at the end of last lap. No one that I can see was game. Is someone keen to do it now? Not from the top 5, but again, you didn't expect it from the top 5, maybe from someone in the middle. Right in the background there, Sean Doyle ran off the track a little bit at the final corner. It's going to hamper his run onto the pit straight and also hamper their chances of being within range to short pit and catch the leaders. Side by side, and Chastity's going to take that as well.
Yeah, I don't know whether that second group's actually catching the guys up the front at the moment. It seems like a pretty consistent gap between Russell Clark and what is now James Chastanoff, just over 4.5 seconds. So whatever they're doing, it's not working at the moment, so they've got to try and come up with another strategy between them. But we see a couple of cars now dive into the pits, and they're the first ones that are making their scheduled pit stop. Dennis Hancock makes his way through to pull up and take on some fuel. So does Ash Knowles. And car number 54, and they're also Farron Hancock's.
Yep, 4 drivers in at the end of that lap. Really wide entry there from Alex John, as if it's paved, it's fair game in his mind. Quite a lot of the runoff isn't paved around here, so use it where you can, I suppose. Keller leading, he was your pole sitter. Ben Snell in second, he was second place on the grid. And Martin has been in third for quite some time, and I think it's easy to stay in third if first and second keep swapping and you just stay there. Maybe it's the sweet spot. We'll find out on the last lap of the race, and we're still 2 pit stops away. And has anyone, big ask, saved enough fuel that they're going to go a lap longer than anyone else?
Yeah, it could be a critical factor as the laps unfold. We're at making our way towards the end of the first third of the race, as we saw a couple of cars peel off into pit lane and make their first scheduled pit stop. We are on lap 7 of 19 now, so right where that fuel window was spoken about earlier at the start of the race. So these 5 here, just clear track behind them at the moment. Then we see the 2 cars of Chastanoff and Sean Doyle come through that kink. Heavy braking zone here into, what is it, turn 13 I think it is, side by side in the background.
Canada corner, as it's known. Pretty sure it's the corner on the track closest to Canada. Could have named it Beaver Corner, but I think they decided not to. Chastity and Doyle, it is. Your whole lead pack, I think, are on towards pit lane. Expect to see Chastity go that way as well. Expect to see Doyle follow him. Expect to see a lot of fuel cans getting ready on pit lane. Ooh, oh, how's the smoke from Chastity? Doyle is going to be smelling that.
This might be the battle we're watching here at the moment to see whether anybody decides just to push their luck and go that extra lap, whether they've saved enough fuel or not. Tied up in this battle with Simon Clayson. Here's our biggest mover tonight, as everybody looks like they're peeling in towards the pits.
I want to watch Banks. I want to watch if he's going to get a new rear wing, because he's on that low downforce setup, which has involved losing the rear wing somewhere out on track. He stayed with this pack, but is that going to get fixed or not in this stop? We'll find out as he's looking for his crew. And your top 5 out on the pit lane, pit exit, all together, side by side on the exit. McKellar's back into the lead. Russell Clark has jumped up in a second. There goes Chastity and Doyle.
If you look in the background, that was one of the locked-on cars. Peter Wilkinson actually flying through, but he's already made his scheduled pit stop on lap number 5 after a little bit of damage. Yeah, so I got a little bit excited there. I thought someone had saved enough fuel to go that extra lap, but it wasn't to be. Very busy coming out of pit lane though, David.
This is the worst for Lee. Oh, this is the worst for Liam Banks. That's a collision with Farron Hancock. They've just come out of pit lane, and now that's huge damage. Huge damage for both of them. I was going to comment, they've given Liam Banks a new rear wing that's crooked. I would have said just leave it off. But then a collision had... Yeah, Farron Hancock was on the racing line, having pitted a lap earlier. He's at racing speed. Everyone's streaming out of the pit lane. And is this going to be a pretty rookie error from Liam Banks? Just not looking, expecting anyone out on track. Causes a pretty huge collision. You'd have to say, coming out of the pit lane, his job to see if anyone's on the racetrack.
Yeah, race control will definitely have to have a look at that, and doesn't do poor old
Farron
Hancock's any good at. Yeah, that's his race done and dusted. So he's in for a world of hurt.
Now, there was more cars on pit exit than there was on the racetrack, but still, if you were going to stick a giveaway sign on one of them, you'd say, if you're exiting the pit lane, don't merge onto the racing line like that if it's not clear. And unfortunately, there was one car coming and caused a huge incident that probably just didn't need to happen this early in the race. We are still lap 8 of 19 with another pit stop to go later in this race. So, first round of pit stops for everyone. Let's recap where we're at. McKellar in the lead. Clark had a pretty short pit and he jumped from sort of 5th in the train up into 2nd, but the top 5 in a different order, but still all stuck together, and now 7 seconds clear of Chastanoff and Doyle.
You can watch them make their way around, complete another lap side by side. Green cars out the front. Two's going to have the bigger kahunas into the braking zone. Looks like Russell Clark ducks in front and decides to lead them around for another lap. Sean McKenzie on screen now, doing a great job. He's up 6 positions from where he started, 5 positions from where he started the race. So he's working pretty closely with Craig Kerman there at the moment.
Yep. Been some big winners from our 30-plus car field that have moved up towards that sort of top 10 and picked up plenty of positions on the way. That's some of them. Craig Kerman, plus 14 at the minute as well. From deeper in the field to move forward, that's the kind of thing you expect to happen in what's supposed to be our enduro format. Is qualifying doesn't need to be everything when you've got 2 pit stops and you've got slipstreaming battling. Some of those will keep their head clean and clear and just move forward and stay out of those incidents. Really should have the time to move forward in the field and be rewarded for it. With Clark in 2nd. There's the pit stop time there you briefly saw. 14-ish seconds for him. And almost everyone else was somewhere between 15 and 16 in this pack. So that's how he managed to jump 1 or 2. And he'll probably be pretty happy to sit in 2nd or swap back and forth with McKellar for the time being.
Yeah, Russell's a seasoned veteran here in the Ozicar Skip Barber Series, so he isn't new to the strategies that unfold and need to be considered as the races develop throughout the season. But he's not in the slipstream at the moment, but he's got his teammate right underneath his rear wing in the form of Ben Snell.
We've talked about it before in other races, this sort of 2 and 2 and 2 that we've had up front. 2 top split TV cars, 2 Milo cars and 2 locked on cars. Well, we've only got 1 locked on car because Braden Martin's teammate, James Chastanoff, is 7 seconds back off this pack. I feel like that might disadvantage him later on because Clark and Snell can play some games. The 2 Alexes can play some games. Braden Martin might be standing in the corner of the party with no one to talk to.
And to make things even worse, James back there in P6 has actually pulled a bit of a gap. It's out to 1.3, 1.4 seconds to Sean Doyle. So you just see him come up over the crest of the hill there at the moment. And he actually hasn't got a drafting partner to work with. So expect these guys up the front just to drive away.
Rest of the top 10 after them is Stubbs and Mites, pretty close together, and Nathan Verney's in 10th, Dennis Hancock right behind him. So less of these big 10-car battles like we had before the pit stops, a couple more smaller battles like 5 cars for the lead, where McKellar is going to shoot on back past Russell Clark, easy as you like, and then a couple of 2-car, 3-car battles up and down throughout the field. And again, coming towards that final stop, which is going to be a little quicker than the first stop, seeing as they'll probably have 5 laps to go when they make that stop. Some of those drivers who've been able to slipstream a little bit might really have that come in to save them at the final stop. That's where the difference might be made in the pit stop times.
So we are currently on lap number 9. We're nearly at the halfway point of this Enduro here tonight at Road America. Cars are very, very up to temperature at the moment as we watch them slide their way through ever so delicately through the carousel. Like you mentioned earlier, almost flat out through that section, foot flat to the floor through here, and even the kink, we've seen them drift their way through there. Grip doesn't seem to be on their side, so we watch them drift all the way out to the ripple strip and a little bit more before keeping their right foot planted as they make their way down through, I won't call it a straight, but down through into Canada Corner.
They're great at giving a corner number to something that is not a corner around here. Very generous of them, pushing out corner numbers where they're maybe not needed or warranted. That's, you know, that's the American dream. Everyone gets a go. Big slipstream again for the pack, uphill, and you would imagine come the final lap, we'll just flag this one early, that in true Aussie car style, someone could be second coming off that last corner, get a good slipstream up the hill, and be first by the time we complete that long run to where Barney will be standing with the checkered flag. That's going to be on their minds, and we've seen that happen on the oval rounds. Just a little bit of dirt there for Russell Clark, kicks it sideways. And we've seen it happen at all sorts of road courses with the slipstream in these cars, that the drivers will test it out. You know, if I get a good run off the final corner, can I beat the guy to the finish line? And so therefore, where do I want to be first and when do I want to be second? What's the optimum positioning come that final lap?
And the thing to consider is the top 4 currently sitting on the screen are all sharing one little chat room, and Braden Martin being the odd one out sitting in 5th won't be part of that discussion. So this green machine, the green army as we call them, will be able to work their tactics together and know exactly what each other's going to do. But poor old Braden, it's a bit of a guessing game.
I can tell you who Braden Martin is in a room with, though. It's Ash Knowles, Jeremy Bush, James Chastanoff, Matthew Mites, Nathan Verney, Vic Veltzen, Peter Wilkinson, etc. All of the locked-on guys sharing information might still get help Braden Martin something about. You know, someone's brought some dirt on the track here, fuel consumption looks like this, whatever it is, it might just be a little bit of support for Braden Martin. Seeing a huge amount of fuel saving from Ben Snell here. He was out of full throttle about halfway down the straight here just to stay behind Alex McKellar, who was trying to stay behind Russell Clark. We might even have some real gamesmanship in this pack now, trying to save fuel, and there's a problem. Front left is down for Simon Jobner. VRS replay. Gonna take a look. Down towards turn 5. Down the inside. Oh, the rear goes, and... oh, okay.
Very wild ride, but he was lucky to keep it back on track, but then become a bit of a mobile chicane for a heap of cars coming through on the apex of the corner.
Yeah, I think he came in hot. The driver he was battling thought, okay, I'm going to go for the over-under. And then he was expecting the other driver to be around the outside, so tried to leave room around the outside. Just meant he pinched to the inside a little bit. I think, you know, he was a little bit out of control and trying to predict where he was going to be. The other driver involved picked wrong, but it could have been a really clever maneuver to have gone over under.
What little contact was there was actually side on between the two vehicles, so I don't think any of them will get too much suspension damage out of that, so they'll all live to fight another day.
big accordion moment for the top 5 as they came onto the brakes into turn 3. No, into turn 5. Should be turn 3. Everyone says this about Road America, and it's probably a bit overplayed now, but they were all 5 of them within 1 second. It compressed their pack. How about non-board with someone 3rd or 4th or 5th in the train here? Because I think you get to the end of these straights, and Snell and John and Martin are saving fuel big time compared to Clark and McKellar leading. It's Alex John. Can we make out his tacho? I think we can. Yeah, it's... You kind of can.
Sitting on 5.5, 6.
So he'll be in the slipstream, good run through the kink, and then he'll try to follow the guys in front, and by about here, he's rolling out of it to stay in line. And what looked like maybe 200 meters of lift and coast to go along with it as well. I would suggest at 4th in this train, he's probably got a 20% boost to his fuel economy or something. It'll be really, really significant in a good triple toe the whole way around in a track that's otherwise a lot of time at full throttle. And here some of them are looking for the pit lane. It's 7 laps to go now. They can pit here and get to the end, and this is causing a split in the top 5. Wow, interesting. The 2 Milo cars continue everyone else to the lane, so it's going to be Clark and Snell working together against McKellar and John working together, and the 2 locked on guys are in as well, but there's maybe just a little too much to separate Martin and Chastity. Oh, it's interesting now.
Yeah, that's not something I predicted was going to happen. I would have thought they'd all dive into the pits together, but it's always good for them to throw us a curveball because it keeps the race interesting and keeps us guessing as to what's going on. Watch Sean Doyle heavy on the brakes into turn number 1 now. He's decided to go that extra lap and see if he can get the overcut on Chastity. But Clark and Snell, as they make their way down through the infield, down through turn, we'll call it 4, because effectively that's what it is.
So fuel to get to the end, the early stop to try to do something different, to try to undercut them, and it's maybe going to cause a little bit of problems here because Simon Clayson hasn't yet stopped. He's for position between the teammates. Braden Martin, I think, is just staying in touch. Here's how much further back James Chastanoff is. Ben Snell and Russell Clark can't save fuel anymore together because they've got to go hammer and tongs to try to make sure they stay a pit stop delta in front of Alex John and Alex McKellar, who are now going to do the same in the next lap or 2 laps to try to undercut them, and we have a real race on our hands. McKellar is going to get around Clayson and be at the rear wing of his teammate Alex John, and they have, for the same reasons Snell and Clark have, 2 really, really critical laps going on right now. Yeah,
like you said, it was absolutely pivotal that they cleared Clayson and could work together and draft each other around through this section of the track, because they'll know that the next time around those 2 Milo cars should be diving for pit lane. And on the exit, we've already seen some carnage here tonight as the cars leave pit lane, so fingers crossed the same thing doesn't happen. They're all seasoned.
Jason, what do you do in the shoes of these guys? Are you pitting now to cover it, or are you going another lap longer and hoping that you've got the speed to put a serious overcut on those guys, and that when you come out with 5 to go, you're clear of the slipstream? You reckon they're pitting now or not?
I'm going to call the pitting now. I've watched enough Formula 1 to know you have to react.
There we go. Jason Fewen, strategy analyst with us here at Simspeed TV, calls it correctly. And 1 lap later, but 1 really big lap around Road America later, Ben Snell and Russell Clark come to the pit lane to try to cover what Locked On and Top Split TV are doing. That means Donna Doyle can pop another bottle at home. Sean Doyle leads a lap at Road America.
Yeah, Sean's been up the front throughout plenty of the races early. They're even getting a win in round number 1 this season, so he'll be keen to put himself up the front, get some TV time for his sponsors and get his name out there as we see his teammate dive into the pits. But here is the real battle.
So where are the Milo guys? Just going for pit exit now and slipstreaming past each other at speed. speed, looking for that merge once again past Russell Clark goes Alex McKellar and Alex John, but Ben Snell is still ahead of them, 1.2 seconds ahead. I think John is going to be able to catch them. It is absolutely game on. And I tell you what, Simon Clayson isn't doing bad for himself, staying with the slipstream of what's ostensibly the top 5. He might be able to overcut some of his competitors here if he's doing the lead pace by virtue of just being in the right place to pick up their slipstream.
Yeah, Braden Martin also being a big winner there. He was managed to latch onto the back of the top split TV guys on their lap as well. So
like being invited to sit at the big kids table at Christmas. Simon Clayson has all the good snacks now.
I don't know about that, Dave. I'm still sitting with the kids.
What sauce on your sausage roll? I got party pies.
James Chastanoff now approximately about 9 seconds off the back of the pack, consisting of the top 5 as we watch the leader sweep his way around through the carousel underneath the Henry's Bridge before taking the quick flat-out kink right-hander as we watch him drift his way through right out onto the ripple strip.
They're all fueled to the end now. This is the battle for the win. Snell and McKellar always trying to battle each other through the carousel. John and Martin and Clark, it is all absolutely game on. And the pit lane is going to come alight again. Everyone else pitting to make their final stops. If they haven't already, Doyle is going to have to at the end of this lap. He's heading towards the final corner and get to take that final corner normally and then go to right-hand side of screen for the pit entry, where those lights helpfully tell us in green that it is open for Doyle. Aggressive attack up the hill where you can't see the commitment cones until you're already on them. That's a pit entry that you need to practice as well, so you don't pick up a penalty in a big race like this. Leaders are then going to come back through, reclaim the lead of the race, make it 5 tours of Road America to go before we give out an Enduro winner medal. And 3 wide for the lead as well. Top Split TV working together to mug Ben Snell from 1.2 seconds clear at the start of this lap. He's now back in 3rd as McKellar slipstreamed him and John slipstreamed all of them and shot by. Chasty's going to come back into his rightful place as well, properly clear of Sean Doyle, even further now, I think.
Top 5 making their way around now. So as it has been since the lights went green some 14 laps ago. We are on the home stretch. We have a 5-lap session. Everybody should be fueled to get home, like you said before, David, as we watch Doyle sweep his way through. And Stubbs and Might still battling. This battle hasn't eased up from the moment we went green on lap 1 also.
And up front, teamwork makes the dream work, because Top Split TV have shot themselves through to 1st and 2nd. Clark has brought, Ben Snell has brought Russell Clark up into 3rd, and now is about when Braden Martin starts to feel a little bit lonely, because they are really using the team game in green, and he might be green with envy in 5th place. They've got to be careful, Russell Clark and Ben Snell, because now McKellar and John are trying to make a gap. They've got 0.8 of a second between themselves in 2nd and those other guys in 3rd, but I think it'll close up towards Canada corner. But if they can make a breakaway, they'll try in Top Split TV. Right now is the time to give it 100%. Try to create that gap, try to drive that wedge, but it will be so difficult to do at Road America.
Yeah, the draft very, very strong here, and of course also heavy braking zones. So there are passing opportunities, but you have to be very, very committed to make it stick and make it work around here. You see the 2 top split guys, a little bit of a gap. It's only about 2 or 3 tenths at the moment, but they are sitting comfortably 1st, 2nd in the championship, in the race, and in the team's championship at the moment. So things looking very, very good for these 2 Alexes.
Russell Clark looking seriously racy. He has dissolved that gap from 0.8 to just about nothing as we come onto the pit straight. Side by side, McKellar and John are going to swap for the lead and maybe even try to create a rolling roadblock to keep the other guys behind them if they go too wide. And Russell Clark's thinking, nope, I'm not making it 3 wide down towards turn 1. I think 3rd place, right up behind your rear wing, is the right place to be at this point in the race. And there is Chastity now 10 seconds away from the action, losing touch with the top 5 early, and just hasn't been able to regain it. That's the way it goes in an enduro around a track like this, and the seconds per lap you can gain with a good slipstream.
Yeah, very critical to have that drafting buddy. And at the moment, Chastity and both Doyle sitting in no man's land, stuck between a couple of little battles in front of them and behind them, as we watch Hancock's and Clayson here, the battle for 11th and 12th. So Clayson's made his final pit stop now after that little bit of excitement where he was on the back of the leading group, albeit a lap down. Makes his way through turn 1, down the hill, through turn 2.
Yeah, Clayson's plus 10 positions. So from 21st on the grid, he's 11th now, and after a couple of good laps at the right time around his pit stop, that's been pretty useful to him. Top 5 is going to get interesting with teammates 1st and 2nd, teammates 3rd and 4th, and Braden Martin. What does he do in this situation? Does he try to make a nuisance of himself? Does he think, you know, teams championship and 5th and 6th for himself and Chastity? I really, really wonder, and all that's going to be answered in the next 3.5 laps.
Yeah, for the team's championship, he needs to make himself as big a nuisance to the guys in front as he can. So anything he can do to upset or take a couple of points away from any of the cars in front would be beneficial to the Locked On Lads team championship battle at the moment. But I think sitting there in 5th, he's comfortable, but he will do his absolute best to try and separate any of these green cars that are in front of him.
Jason, did you know that Road America is longer than Bathurst? I feel like we need to add an extension to Bathurst to rectify this problem.
Yeah, it might be longer, but Bathurst has more undulation between the lowest point and the highest point, which makes it what it is. So
I think Bathurst has more numbered corners that are actually corners, as Russell Clark thinks about making life difficult for Alex John and Alex McKellar, and then bats out of going 3 wide down the inside.
Yes, they've come too far in the race now to throw it away by making a silly move. So if they do decide to make a dive, they've got to make it stick and make sure it is going to actually pay off. Because you wouldn't want to get to the end, a couple of laps, find yourself with some damage, and then end up with a DNF.
Mites and Stubbs side by side down towards turn 1, and Daniel Stubbs gets ahead, or stays ahead, whatever the situation was, but they are 3 wide for the lead now. Here we go. Nothing to lose. Russell Clark, lots to lose as equal championship leaders, Alex McKellar and Alex John. I thought that imbalance might come into play here, and it is oh so interesting. Can't complete the pass down the inside of turn 5. At turn 6, around the outside, Alex McKellar gets the lead back. Compromised line into Hurry Downs, potentially. They all managed to go single file right at the crucial turn-in point. But this is a signal, I think, from Russell Clark. You guys aren't going to have this easy. I am going to make your life quite difficult in the final laps here. And for the championship reasons, it's Alex's with everything to lose. And, you know, people like Martin and Russell Clark who can put them in a tough spot.
Yeah, these little battles are going to help Braden sitting here in 5th at the moment, but as we watch the leaders make their way round, we do see a quick glimpse of lap car, that being Ira Felberg in front. So Ira, no doubt, will do the right thing and get out of the way as this train comes up onto the back of him quick, smart.
So John is going to get 2nd place back in a Canada corner, I think. Able to use the slipstream of his teammate to get back around. And where is Ira going to make way for this angry top 5? He's going to have a great view of his own championship battle. He goes real wide, really wide in the final corner. kind of keeps him out of everyone's way. There is some damage on Ira's car there, and I think he's not going for pit lane. I am confused. He's got no front wing, he's got no nose, and Ben Snell won't. He keeps trying to push his teammate of Russell Clark. Oh my, 2 laps to go here at Road America. Anyone from the top 5 could win. Will it be a top split lockout? Will there be fireworks? What will Braden Martin do from 5th?
Yeah, Russell Clark looking very hungry at the moment. He must have fuel up his sleeve to burn, because we're getting to the point where fuel consumption and fuel strategy probably isn't going to play an effect. This is where you need to position yourself, probably here on the second to last lap, to make sure you're in where you want to be on the last lap to maximise any draft benefit, and find yourself up the pointy end of the field on the top step of the podium.
Wow, it's starting to get interesting from the early phase of the race where no one wanted to go side by side for too long. Everyone wanted to keep it single file, save the fuel. They've made their 2 pit stops. Everyone's fueled to the end. It is a top split TV 2-wide roadblock for a 2-wide Milo 3rd and 4th, to Braden Martin rolling out of the throttle everywhere to stay in 5th place. But now he's got to go do something, because Russell Clark was a little slower than he was expecting. And there is a high chance of some lightning and some action in this top 5, because the white flag is going to get waved at the end of this one. We know in a race like this, the white flag might as well, a white flag to racing drivers is a red flag to a bull. That's how it is going to work. A lot of points on the line when there's just one race in the round, because the points that would be dished out for race 1 and race 2 get chucked together in the enduro format. It is go big or go home on the championship points here in round 3 to mark the halfway point of the season in a lap and a half's time when the checkered flag gets waved. It's the first half of the season coming to an end, and John and McKellar equaling the points coming into this. Well, one of them's going to have to lead if they do a first and second here. So there might almost be some competition between the teammates as well. When you think about it like that, someone's got to lead the championship come the end of this race.
Yeah, we'll just throw in another curveball in there. They don't get any points for fastest lap, but any of these guys have managed to keep their nose clean and have an incident-free race. There is bonus points up for grabs as well. As we watched Barney with his right arm going absolutely crazy, waving that white flag as the guys cross the line for the final time tonight.
It's all on. Ben Snell, huge run. Alex John comes across to block it. In the process, around the outside of him comes Ben Snell. Braden Martin is in the mix. And you know what? We've still got 3 more huge slipstreaming zones before we get to the end. Ben Snell comes in really deep in towards turn 3, right up behind McKellar. Now John is going to slipstream him back. Braden Martin is done being Mr. Patient. He's seen that white flag and he's thinking, do you know what? These guys are either going to take each other out or have to back out. I could still win this, even against 2 sets of teammates, perfectly level, 3 wide, down in towards turn 5, down the inside and around the outside, a perfect sandwich pincer maneuver from Top Split TV to take first and second back. Ben Snell is trying to think, how in the remaining half a lap am I going to get around these guys? The championship leaders, the team's championship leaders are still first and second, and Ben Snell is pushing Alex John. Braden Martin has got himself back up into 4th, and that keeps Russell Clark out of the fight. That's going to disadvantage Snell, because now he has someone between himself and his teammate while he's trying to battle 2 teammates out front. Jason, got any fingernails left?
No. Barely have fingers, they're worn down to the knuckles. But this is where little mistakes happen, because frustration obviously to getting involved with Snell sitting there in 3rd position. He's got the speed and it's just finding himself with a big green wall of Top Split TV cars in front of him and unable to make anything happen.
Down towards Canada corner we go. Full throttle for everyone. No lift this time. Trying to find a lane. Trying to pick a lane. Ben Snell's run out of space, run out of room. It is a top split roadblock. Round the outside. Huge send on the dirt for Braden Martin, but it's not going to work. Bill Mitchell, Ben, they don't normally go side by side through here, but they're going to try. Ben Snell's trying to come around the outside. He's looking to come down the inside of the final corner. Is he going to be able to do it? Well, he's going to damn well try. McKellar around the outside is going to have a lot more speed, I think. And here comes John. They are going to box Ben Snell in. He is stuck in traffic. He can't merge, but now he's looking to the left-hand side. They are going to be 3 wide. There is going to be contact. Snell is sent out onto the grass. He keeps it pinned on the grass. And you know what? I think he almost gets second, but Alex John takes the win, and he's therefore going to be the championship leader after a crazy 50 minutes at Road America.
Oh,
We have another battle here. Oh, we're going to have contact between Mites and Stubbs. Stubbs off the track. Mites continues.
Ozicar Skip Barber's still putting on the action, even though the race is done. There's guys still making their way around the circuit at the moment. Still plenty of points up for grabs as we watch this locked-on cars make their way across the line. Clayson and Bush still battling for 12th and 13th here, making their way through the last corner now before the big run up the hill. I think Bush has enough of a gap.
No. Oh, on the grass, on the final corner of the final lap. After a great slipstream off the leaders earlier, and he's put that hard into the tyres, and he's going to have to tow in sight of the checkered flag. Heartbreak for Simon Clayson. What a finish. Ben Snell, full throttle, in the grass, claims second place, but Alex John, his work with his teammate Alex McKellar was enough to secure him the victory. Let's look down this top 10 now. Alex John, the winner. Ben Snell in second. Alex McKellar, not a tenth of a second to separate the podium. Braden Martin, not bad actually, in fourth place in what was almost a dead heat with Russell Clark for fifth. James Chastanoff, I think, actually caught the leaders a little bit on those last 2 laps as he was all by himself in sixth. Doyle in seventh. Matthew Mites in eighth. Verney in ninth. And Stubbs in 10th.
Action of plenty. It didn't matter where you were looking around the track. Even back here in outside the top 10, we find Dennis Hancock making his way across the line in 11th. He was followed by Jeremy Bush and Sean McKenzie, making up some good positions as the race went on to finish in 13th position. Ash Knowles and Darren Lassou, 14, 15. I think Darren was actually up 15 positions for the entire race, so he would have been our biggest mover tonight. Brady Cook in 16, Craig Kermond, John Snell, Leon Williams and Sean Carey, they all ran out your top 20.
Rest of our field, Simon Clayson, after having to use the tow truck on the final lap, is scored in 21st. Last car off the lead lap, because he was on the last lap when he towed. Ira Felberg, Peter Wilkinson, Vic Bent Veltson, all likewise 1 lap down. 4 laps for David Summers, Matthew Harriet, 5 for Simon Dobner, and call it a retirement, I think, for Liam Banks and Farron Hancock. We saw their incident, and also rest of the grid, Philip Backett-Soulis, Harrison Mitchell, Jamie Willits, and I don't think Aaron Waugh was able to take the start. That was a typical Aussie car enduro, I think. It sort of started calm and just ramped up the insanity slider towards the final lap. It could have been anyone's in the top 5. And the team game played perfectly. Well, not quite perfectly by Top Split TV. They got themselves the win, but Snell on the grass for 300 meters still gets second place within a tenth of the leaders. Here it is. Top Split guys are trying to box out Ben Snell, but he finds a card's width to the left that then gets closed. A little bit of contact there, and he says, let's keep that throttle pinned. Tell you what, I think he came out the final corner and he just welded that throttle pedal, and it was all about using the hands from there to the end. So you see the win for McKellar. Snell second on the grass. McKellar completes the podium, and also Martin and Russell Clark. Martin and Russell Clark just 0.003 of a second apart from each other as well for 4th and 5th. Who's out of fuel getting pushed to the pit lane? Is it Mites? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
Their race is done and dusted. I think it's Peter Wilkinson, Matthew Mites, and Vic Van Beltzen, all there in a train making their way back up the hill.
Viewers of a sensitive disposition, look away now. Have we caught our breath? I think we have. And you know what? Some drivers are standing by. I wonder if they've caught their breath. Let's speak to the podium after round 3, the Enduro round at Road America in season 10 of Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Third place was Alex McKellar, and I've grabbed him by the ear. Here he is. Mr. McKellar, equal championship leader going into this. Did that mean you had nothing to lose, or you had to be careful?
I needed to be more careful than I probably was. I picked up the incident point on my first lap. You might have seen it was a bit adventurous. So from then on in, it was let everything fly and see if we can't grab a win. Just to roll of the dice coming out of that final corner. And yeah, fortunately, AJ came up trumps tonight, so it's good for the team.
There's no I in team. How much were you trying to work together to, you know, create that roadblock, save fuel together, make speed together, make sure one of you was first to that checkered flag? Because I feel like if it was just you in the pack or just John in the pack, the result might have been different.
Yeah, look, it was interesting, you know. We've raced together so long in that whole group in that front there. We've raced together so long, so much goes unspoken. So, you know, you see 0.8 of a second gap, you immediately switch into can we break the draft mode? When it's coming into those final corners, where can I position my car to make it the widest so that it's 2 wide, not 3? And then, as you saw at the end there, you know, I've looked at this track a lot, and then just under that final bridge, the track actually widens more than I thought, and that absolutely gave Ben the space there. And I think those little nuances really make the difference in winning a race like that.
Well, it started out relatively calm, and the insanity reached peak right at the end. Do you think your heart rate followed the same trajectory?
Yeah, absolutely. It was pretty quiet throughout, and then those final couple of laps where the ducks and drakes really started happening. Yeah, certainly ready to cool off now.
Well, we'll let you do that. Anyone you want to thank before you go?
Absolutely. Thanks to AJ, a good doctor, and my teammate, to the Milo guys as well, and to Braden in that front pack. Made it very interesting throughout, as always. Thanks to the entire field for coming out. You know, there's not a race without a field to fill it. To Ira and the team for the series they put on, you yourselves for putting on the broadcast, which once again I'm looking forward to go and watch. So thanks, guys.
Delightful. See you in a week's time.
Thanks, guys.
We continue stepping up the podium, don't we, Jason Fewens, because you've grabbed second place.
Yeah, welcome into the commentary box, Ben Snell. Big deep breath, mate, after that. That was probably something you didn't expect was going to unfold, but you got the cookies at the end of the day. Second place on the podium.
Yeah, I got some cookies. That was intense. So, obviously, around here for this kind of race, it was 45 minutes of just driving around and then 5 minutes of battling at the end there. But oh boy, it was worth driving around for 45 minutes for that intense battle. Like, we were missing Chastity, and then we would have had like everyone together, like good old times. So it was absolutely intense, and yeah, obviously there was a little bit less track than I was expecting there at the end, but just kept the foot buried. I somehow managed to fit McKellar at the line, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, fantastic last lap there. You had a big look under brakes, which might have compromised your speed coming out of the last corner on the run up the hill, but you definitely had a little bit of draft from Alex in front of you, and like you said, the track just sort of opened up, and then all of a sudden it closed itself, and you found yourself out on the slippery stuff. Bit of a worm burner as you crossed the line, but nonetheless, great championship points as we are now at the halfway point of the season.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the last corner, I had to stick the nose in. Like I had the overspeed, so I could get a bit of an overlap, and I know Alex isn't gonna, ruin everybody's race by turning in, so I had to put the nose in there just to put Alex off enough that we could get a run on him. Because if we just left him the corner in the lead, he just would have cut through and nailed the apex and just driven away to the win. So me sticking my nose in there pretty much gave AJ the win. The other Alex over McKellar, and yeah, it was going to be one of us that got it, and it was always going to be a drag race to the line, and what a drag race it was.
So on that final lap, you weren't only watching forward, you're also watching back, because you had Braden Martin separating both yourself and your teammate in the form of, who was it? Russell Clark.
Yeah.
So the top 5 there separated by 3/10 at the end of the day, but plenty of action both in front and behind as you try to work out the best spot on the last lap.
Yeah, absolutely. So Braden just jumped into the green room with us just to give us congratulations and all that. But he goes, my plan was to follow you through, Ben. So wherever you went, I was going to try and follow you. But unfortunately, I didn't get my plan right either. So but it was intense. Like going 3 wide into 5. I was in the meat and the sandwich in that one. So I was like, I need to be the guy that backs out of this because we're not going to get through here 3 wide without something happening. So I thought discretion was the better part of valor there, and then Braden had a little bit of a sniff, and I was like, nah, you staying back there, mate. And then, just coming through the carousel, I think AJ just got out of it a little bit and backed the gap up between himself and Alex, which really compromised my run as well. So I was planning on trying to make it 3 wide into Canada, but I didn't quite get the run, and it was just hope and pray. And I know everyone's responsible enough that we can get through there, basically touching nose to gearbox the whole way. So fantastic effort from everyone and great respect between us all that we can get through there without dying, which will happen 90% of the time if you try and do that with people that you don't trust.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great coverage here on Simspeed tonight, and you guys definitely put on an absolutely fantastic show for everybody out there watching. That green wall that you were faced with in front of you, it's just very, very hard to find a way through it, and to make themselves too wide, and you just have to keep putting pressure on them until one of them makes a little mistake and you see a gap, and that's effectively what happened there on that last corner. And the rest we saw unfold in front of us. So before we move on, I'd like to throw you the microphone. Is there anyone you want to thank before we finish up tonight?
Oh, of course, big shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's definitely going to be one that I might fast forward through the first half and then watch the end. But a great effort from you guys. Big thanks to Ira and the Ozicar crew for putting on such a great series. And as always, Russell does say hi, and eventually he'll get back up on the podium here and come say hello to you guys personally.
Yeah, well, again, great for your team's championship as well, making a little bit of ground on the top split guys that are currently sitting in second. So good result there for the Milo cars tonight. So congratulations on a fantastic result. You certainly gave us plenty of talking opportunity and lots of action here tonight. So well done on a brilliant result, and we'll come back and we'll do it again next week at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Second place on the podium tonight, Ben Snell.
Ben Snell, future rallycross driver, I think, based on today's performance. Look forward to seeing him there. But it's man of the hour, race winner by, I want to say less than 1/10 of a second. It was even less than that. Alex John, you've had a little bit of time to catch your breath now, but it was always going to be a last lap like that with those 5 drivers battling for the lead around a track that has such a huge draft.
Yeah, it was a long race of fuel saving to try and get a little bit out at the pit stops, which really didn't make much of a difference in the end. But it all came down to that last couple of laps, and very happy to have worked out the best way to do it and grab the win.
Give us an insight about the fuel strategy, because that's one of the things that really led up to the wheel-to-wheel battling on the final lap. I mean, it looks like you caught the Milo guys a little bit by surprise, going for pit entry the minute the window opened at the final stint there, and they kind of had to react to it. What was the thought process there?
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing. I was thinking that everyone was just going to go in on lap 12 and top up, because it's nearly the most sort of risk-free way to do it. You just let the thing go to the brim and away you go. But it didn't really give us much of an option for Alex and I to work together and try and get a gap or anything through the pits, because they were in the next lap. So yeah.
Well, it's likely to put you into the championship lead, and how much does that, on the back of your mind as we come into the final half of the season? Team's championship looks good between yourself and McKellar, but someone's got to be the driver's champion. There can only be one.
Yeah, definitely on my mind. Usually we say this championship is won through consistency, but I think with the way it is, no one making mistakes at the moment. You've just got to absolutely maximise every race and go for the win. Like, there's no use sitting back getting seconds and thirds. You know, Ben, even with his 1 DNF, is sort of starting to creep up, and you know, he was 3 wins on the trot. So you know, can't be letting up at all. You just got to go for it. So you know, that was in the back of my mind. I'd push for the win.
I think the problem with consistency winning this championship is after 9 seasons, everyone's cottoned onto that, and there's 10 drivers in the same boat, isn't there? You've got to be the fastest consistent driver, not the most consistent fast driver. Yeah,
that's right. And it seems like there is maybe 5 or 6 you know, guys towards the front, and you know, if we're all finishing sort of 1st to 5th, then nobody's really going to get away unless you're always, you know, getting that 1st place, which scarily Ben did the last couple of races, which is why I was very glad to get one over him tonight.
Yeah, very, very well done, and an Enduro winner you are, Alex John. Any shout outs and thanks to give?
Yeah, thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast, and the Ozicar organisers, and thanks to my the teammates in the Green Machines.
Awesome. We'll see you next week at Road Atlanta, hopefully. Any thoughts there? Because I feel like that back straight at Road Atlanta could give us some similar racing to here at Road America.
Yeah, if we're on the long layout, yep, it's going to be hectic again. That beautiful chicane and beautiful last corner. I'm sure that someone's going to be finishing on the grass.
Bit of undulation there as well. Yeah, we could see the same finish again, couldn't we? Look forward to seeing you then, same time next week, Alex.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Jason, what a 50 minutes, what a final 10 minutes, and what a nice little thread of fuel strategy all the way through. Sum it up and then give us some thoughts for Road Atlanta in a week's time.
Yeah, well, typical Aussie car format. That's an absolute finish for the ages. We've had some crackers over the last couple of seasons, and to have the top 5 guys all finish within 0.3 of a second was pretty special here tonight. So I'm sure a lot of those guys will take that momentum into Road Atlanta next week. Like you said, a very undulating track, quite flowing again through sections, through the downhill section. Those skippies will like to drift and slide their way down through the corners, and that all-important run down the back straight is going to be absolutely critical for the slipstream. That leads into a hard braking corner with a left-right, then up over the hill, and that run down onto the straight. So I think that's where all the action's going to be, in that last sector of the track. But we'll all have to come back next week here on Simspeed TV. Tune in and see how things all pan out.
Yeah, precisely. Wherever you're watching us, make sure you are following us there, whether it is Simspeed on Facebook, whether it's on the YouTubes or anywhere else. That is where you are going to find next week's Ozicar Skip Barber action. I've been David Haynes, Jason Fewens with me, Jay Kennedy with the cameras and the replays, the production, and a lot of the work that goes in behind the scenes to make an awesome broadcast. I've got to also say thank you, Locked On iRacing podcast, 24/7 race control and prestige trophy badge and engraving, all great supporters contributing to the Aussie Car Championship, all practically in their own ways as well. We'll see you next week for round 4 on Simspeed TV.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God! Oh. Big crash. Oh my goodness! Half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?